Imagine this. You're a woman unaware of her pregnancy, going into labor alone in the bathtub, with no medical or emotional help around you. How scary would that be? Well, that's exactly what happened to Karen Littenden, a mother in Theresa County, Michigan, which is the place shown in the picture, who lacked adequate resources and emotional support for the birth of her first child, widely known as Baby Theresa. These factors caused her severe emotional despair, leading her to make the incredibly rash decision to leave her baby on the side of the road. Had she been aware that she was pregnant and received proper emotional support for her pregnancy, she could have had a happy, healthy child that would have been thriving today 15 years later. On April 29, 2009, Lieutenant, who is the mother shown on the right, gave birth to baby Theresa, who was born with her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. Feeling hopeless and desperate about what to do, Lieutenant disposed of the body in a trash bag on the roadside. At the time, in 2009, quality medical care and mental health resources were severely lacking for low-income women in the region suffering from traumatic childbirth events. This case highlighted the dire need for improved social support systems, education, and affordable access to new mothers do not feel so alone and desperate. After finding the baby, local authorities performed an autopsy, confirming the death had opened a case to identify relatives, as well as drawing the sketch shown to the left. After 12 years with minimal active investigation, advances in forensic genetic testing named Littenden as the mother in December 2021. She faced charges for improperly handling the death, yet received probation and mandated counseling instead of imprisonment, as postpartum depression had impaired her judgment. While initially only covered by the local Theresa County press in 2009, the bizarre resolution, after over a decade, made headlines statewide and nationally in early 2022. In May 2009, some Michigan residents simply called the news heartbreaking. When it made headlines nationally, there also was not much public opinion regarding the mother and her actions due to limited public interest in the case. In the research that we have conducted, such as our survey and interview with Mr. Jeff Nesbitt, who is a law and justice and AP government teacher here at Green Level, we came to the conclusion that he cannot comment on the actual situation due to limited information provided about the case, as shown by his highlighted response on the screen. In addition to our interview, the results from our survey, and specifically the results displayed on the screen, showed that many people answer this question. In general, do you believe that the justice system, on all levels, local, regional, and national, handles death cases, especially sensitive cases, such as this one, fairly and holistically? Considering the whole picture of the defendant and the reasons why the case exists rather than simply focusing on the fact that they committed a crime. Why or why not? With something along the lines of no, because the justice system has a lot of biases such as race, wealth, or gender that prevent it from treating cases fairly and holistically. Or yes, the system is there to keep things fair, equal, and in check. The results from the survey indicate that the legal system should be more understanding in its view regarding very sensitive cases like these, as many people were torn over how the legal system handled this case and indicated that it could be biased in many ways.
In our secondary research, there is one source that indicates that Lieutenant was in immense physical pain and exhaustion when delivering the baby. For instance, according to a report made by the WBA in April 2022, while giving birth to the baby unexpectedly, right after delivery, she was incredibly exhausted and stressed, leading her to pass out momentarily. Shortly after waking up, she discovered that her baby had died, which the WBA speculated was because of the baby possibly drowning in the bathtub while she was passed out, making Lieutenant unaware of the events that led to the death. Furthermore, she mentioned being in intense shock and fear throughout the whole process, and even more so when she found out the baby was not breathing. Additionally, it's entirely possible that the exhaustion and intense pain that she was experiencing during the birth factored into her decision to leave her child on the side of the road. Because when you're in so much pain like that and have no access to experienced medical staff around to help calm things down, it's really gonna cloud your judgment and reason. especially considering the recovery time needed after such an intense process. These circumstances emphasize the need for adequate access to quality medical care, since if Lieutenant were in a hospital rather than her bathtub in the situation, she would have gotten immediate and effective assistance from medical staff for the pain and strong emotions she was experiencing, who also would have helped her confirm if the baby was dead or not, using tests like the APGAR score. Unfortunately, due to not knowing of her pregnancy as well as having little money, which is an unfortunate aspect of this country, she was unable to go through labor and delivery in a hospital. In addition to the postpartum depression that Lieutenant experienced right after the birth, three additional major factors include the lack of emotional support she had, the fact that she had no access to good medical care, and a lack of financial means to support herself beyond basic needs. With a lack of support, Lieutenant was forced to brave the pains of childbirth all on her own, with no one to fall back on. When you're in a situation like that, it can really take a toll on you, and you're bound to do things you'd later regret. With a lack of access to quality medical care, you don't receive the crucial help from doctors and nurses that is needed in a situation like a stillbirth, as they would be able to quickly and effectively find a way to handle the situation in a lawful manner. Finally, in a situation where you are struggling financially, a situation like handling stillbirth on your own becomes expensive, as you have to pay fees for filing claims to death records and also other cases. In addition, Lieutenant was charged fines for her crimes of concealing baby Theresa's death, which can add to the expenses for the situation. Had Lieutenant been with a friend, a relative, or healthcare worker when delivering the baby, she would have not made such an emotionally charged decision that tangled her into the legal system. This is evident through the fact that the decision she made was influenced by her mental health issues she had at the time and are still currently dealing with, for which she is now receiving help from the legal system with. Furthermore, universal healthcare would have really helped in that situation, as she would have been able to go to the hospital swiftly upon noticing her labor and gotten quality support from doctors and nurses regarding her baby's condition without having to worry about how much to pay for it. This emphasizes how important affordable healthcare is, because anyone, even the poorest individuals like Lieutenant at the time, should have access to medical care in an emergency situation like this. So, with all that being said, how could have things taken a different and potentially more ethical turn? Well, there are a few things that definitely could have gone differently. To prevent similar tragic situations, individuals need access to emotional support systems, education on coping skills, and available resources, and affordable quality healthcare. Having trusted people to turn to and learning healthy ways to process grief could have helped Lieutenant make level-headed decisions after unexpectedly delivering a stillborn child alone. In addition, had she given birth in an equipped medical facility like a hospital with doctors immediately available, her baby's condition could have been properly assessed and she could have received guidance on the next steps. Knowledge and preparation empowers people to handle even the most emotionally difficult situations. Had Lieutenant known about community support groups, affordable prenatal healthcare options, or coping methods, she may have had the tools to handle her trauma in a composed, thoughtful manner. In conclusion, while Lieutenant made poor choices, the lack of mental health support and affordable access to medical care are primarily to blame. No one, let alone a grieving new mother, should endure childbirth alone. The trauma from delivering a stillborn baby solo without proper care caused her to commit the crime. Rather than criticism, this case calls for a reflection and a broader understanding of these issues in society. We must provide quality treatment for most postpartum depression, make female-focused healthcare more available and affordable, and better educate on childbirth realities and do's and don'ts. Though we can't go back in time, learning from this anomaly can create meaningful changes regarding American reproductive healthcare. We ask you, the audience, to seriously consider your own role in demanding and enabling that positive transformation we need. If we work together, no woman will ever have to end up in the same situation Lieutenant did ever again, or a situation like this would be significantly reduced. Thank you.